Damn it. You right? What happened, dude?
Damn cactus.
Oh, God.
Damn.
That's not scary.
Yeah, it'll wipe off.
God. Dude.
I'm gonna slow down. It's been a long day, man.
Oh, my God.
It's been a long day.
I'm gonna shut this camera off.
I have a few reasons for being out here. I think a lot of it has to do with my dad. We lost him to a heart attack, and I remember it was so sudden. I remember one day seeing a bunch of cars driving down the road, and I wanted to stand on a rooftop and shout to the world, do you know what you've lost? Do you know the man that you've lost? My hero. And nobody cared. And that wasn't the point. And I didn't blame anybody for that, but that was the feeling I had. I'll never know the grief of losing a son or a loved one to war, but I know what it's like to lose a hero. So I'm walking in this desert to honor 5 men, 5 heroes that died for our freedom. The fear in grieving is that the world moves on and forgets, and that's why I'm here, because the world can't forget these men.
Bye, buddy.
Oh, here you go.
Love you.
You know where I'm going?
Bill walking work.
That's right. See you, dude. I'm gonna go, okay?
Bye.
I'll be back in a little bit. Packing up and meeting the bus tonight. I got some shows to play in West Texas, but this is very different because after the show in Odessa on Saturday, we are heading straight west and going to Big Bend National Park, where I'm gonna walk for 5 days through the desert and tell the story of 5 soldiers and film it. Seems like I'm leaving the kids a lot. My job, I always have to be on the road, but I can only hope that when they see me leaving and eventually they understand that some of these things I'm doing is out of an effort to try to make a difference. That's what this is about. That's what this trip is about. That's what this walk in the desert is about. Making a difference.
Hello.
Hey, Alan.
How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing fine. And I'm excited about this day being all about Pete.
It's a great way to keep the boy's memory alive.
As you probably know, I met Pete in 2007 in Iraq.
Yeah.
This is day 1 of this week, and we're going to walk every day for a different soldier. And so it was only appropriate that we started with the one soldier that I actually knew during my first entertainment tour in Iraq.
It'll be a spectacular, special day for all of us.
This is from Pete's family?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what it is?
No.
Well,
Second Lieutenant Pete Burks. I'm gonna wear this today. Dog tags. This is from Alan to Peter. Happy 21st. You are legally, in every other way, a man. It is an honor to be your father. You amaze me, you thrill me, you never disappoint. I love you, Pops. This is his diary, so we'll dive into that. Peter Burks. I'm gonna find out who you are, see what this journal says. I'm at Camp Liberty, just outside of Baghdad, Iraq. It's so surreal just being here. You see it so often on TV and you hear about it so often from the radio that it seems bigger than life. Every day feels the same, but I love watching the time pass. The faster it goes, the faster I go home. Well, that's it for now. If I think of more, I'll be sure to write it down later. And then ironically, after that entry, he writes one more page, and the rest is blank, because that was the end.
Pete was tough-minded mentally, he was tough physically, but he had a real servant's heart.
He had a respect and appreciation for the armed services.
He loved what being a soldier meant. He would always write letters and talk about how, yes, he missed us, but he was also happy fighting for his country.
Pete had a huge heart, and I think that's what people took to. You want to follow someone like that who is not afraid to get their hands dirty and to, be the first one out there and to do stuff. And Pete was very much a leader by example.
So when he was there, he would call me at work and would talk about how they went in and did humanitarian aid and how he, was playing with all the kids, and he was definitely excited to be there, and I think to really make a difference. That was what he always talked about, making a difference in a positive way.
Made it down to the riverbank. This is the Rio Grande, right past these trees. So that's Mexico. That cliff's Mexico, and that cliff is the U.S.
A mother never intends to bury her children. Typically, you would think that your children would be the one that would bury you. So it's very important, as I reflect back about Pete, is his faith story. If you go do this, chances are very great that you're going to go to war. And I said, if you do that, you might not come home. He just said, Mom, I really prayed about this. And then he said this to me. He said, you know what, Mom? He said, if I don't come home, you know where I will be.
So these are the chairs. We would sit in those chairs at night and talk for hours on end. And one of the big reasons that they're here is they remind me of those good talks with Pete. This itch just won't go away. I've got to scratch it. I have to go serve and do this. And I said, God bless you, son. Our country needs the strongest, smartest, toughest people we can have on the front line.
So I got a text this morning from Pete's father. It's a letter that he wrote to me about Pete, and this seems like the perfect spot to read it right here by this river. It says, Granger, you were Pete's first assignment when he deployed to Iraq, and he sure loved being your security escort. Pete knew at an early age that he wanted to serve in our country's military. And once he joined the Army, he wasn't one of those guys that was going to sit back and let other people do work for him. Now, he wanted to be right there on the front lines where the action was, and he would do anything for his men. Pete loved his family. He loved people. He was competitive.
He was strong, and he was funny. Pete said two amazing things to me before he left. He said, "Dad, my job is to get my men home safely." And his second was, "I want to foment change in the world."
I knew Pete. I met him when I went to Iraq to play music. Not long after that, we lost him. I won't forget. He made that sacrifice for guys like me.
Hello?
Amy.
Yes.
Hey, it's Granger Smith. There's no way cameras could do this justice to where we're standing right now. One of the hardest things about loss is wondering if their story will be forgotten, if they will be forgotten, if you will slowly start forgetting about them. The truth is, you don't really forget. Every day, for some reason, it stays fresh with you. Today is going to be all about Matt telling his stories, making people realize the hero that he really is.
That's awesome. There's not a day that doesn't go by that he's not with me.
Yeah.
In some way or another.
Yeah.
Even when I'm out fishing, I'm like, man, it's getting slow. You know, send me at least a little fish.
Does he do it?
Yeah, he did pretty good yesterday.
Good. It's crazy that it's been over a decade and he still gets choked up. Yeah. All right, we're gonna open this box. This is the Matt Holloway box. So this must be Amy.
This was our last fishing trip together, because we all know how Matt loved to fish. Right before he shipped off to Iraq, he came home for a week, and I asked him what he wanted to do, and my uncle just happened to be racing that weekend. Matt wanted to be with my daddy and my uncle in the pit. Right before they start a race, you know, they do the pledge, and then they do it, and then the anthem, and then they do a prayer. I had him announce Matt to come out to the starting line where they said a prayer, and everybody wished him good luck, and then returned home safe. Then my uncle didn't finish the race because he wrecked. He wrecked, but totally totaled the car, but Matt loved it. He loved every minute of being there.
I actually have a good last memory of him. We're leaving and going to Arlington, and there was a car wreck that had just happened, and we just passed it, and Matt was like, "Hey, we should pull over and see if they're okay." And so we did. We pulled over on the side of the highway, both ran over there to like help these people that had just gotten a car wreck. And but I mean, he was always like that, just cared about people, wanted to help people, and we stayed with him till the ambulance came, and then we came back the next day, and that's the last time I saw him.
And then just like Pete's diary yesterday, there's way too many blank pages because the story was never finished. And that's what we're going to see all week with these stories. Of course, got to have his fishing lure. That's awesome. And we'll carry these dog tags all day.
think we're getting close to a spot to read Amy's letter. This is incredible right here. Keep going and find a place to sit. All right, this is Matt's wife, Amy's letter for us to read about Matt. It says, "What can I say about Matt? He had a great love for football, fishing, race cars, driving Humvees, and most of all, his country. He had the kind of smile that would just light up a room. Matt always looked for the good in people. Matt loved playing football, and he was really good at it. And like a lot of guys his age, he had dreams of playing one day in the NFL for the Houston Texans. But then something happened that changed everything for Matt and me. 9/11. He enlisted in the Marines shortly after that. When Matt finished boot camp, he asked me to marry him. We had these big plans for a long engagement, saving money for a winter wedding. And all that changed when he took me to dinner one night. I could tell by his face that something had happened. He told me that his unit had been activated. After that, Matt got me a pickup truck as a wedding gift, just a simple Ford F-150, but it meant the world to me. He also had a custom decal made on the front windshield that said, "Freedom isn't free." We were married quickly. We only had 3 months before his deployment, but I'll never forget those days. I can remember waking up and Matt would be gone in the morning, fishing. He loved it so much. Those 3 months flew by. The day came when it was time for Matt to leave. I held him as close as I could, and he was telling me, "Don't worry, I'll be home before you know it." That was the last time I saw him. I would get calls late at night or early in the morning. He would tell me, "No bad guys today, honey. I'm safe. I'm just out here doing my job, driving Humvees. Kiss the dogs for me." I could still see the men in dress blues when they came to my house. They walked up to me and so softly said, "Mrs. Holloway, we must inform you that Lance Corporal Matthew Holloway was killed in action today." I didn't want to believe it. It was like a bad dream. Everything was blurry, and it took a while. And then it hit me. It was no bad dream. The love of my life was gone, just 5 months shy of our first wedding anniversary. And that comes from a very young widow of a hero that will carry that burden for the rest of her life, for enduring that.
Yo, check this out, dude.
No way. Amy said on that phone call we'd be seeing signs from him. If that's not a damn perfect H in a heart, then I don't even know if a human has been through here, walked around here in years. How in the world did that happen? I guess it wasn't this world.
The logical mind cannot understand the illogical.
Sure.
And so as illogical as the suicide is, I find that people that want to judge it are not ones that maybe have been in that dark place.
Yeah.
And this is a true epidemic that we have with our soldiers and our military. For Dillion and for many of them, they think they're alone in what they're feeling or going through. And I know that the nightmares and the horrors of what they had to see and do, you know, these are good men that were I call them boys.
Yeah.
But these are good men that are going. These are men that have, they've got the heart and the soul and the values, and they go over there and have to do some of that stuff. They come back and they feel guilt and shame for what they've had to do.
Extremely windy up here. Very isolated, desolate.
Dillion was born in a small town in Iowa, and he was raised on a farm. He grew up a good kid. He was honest, hardworking, adventurous, funny, charming, and kind. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't perfect. He got his share of groundings, but he was a typical kid, and he loved farm life. He worked with his grandfather and his father raising cattle, feeding calves, and doing chores around the farm. One time when Dillion was 16 years old, he lined up a date with a girl he really liked. And I'll never forget that right before he was about to leave, Dillion's grandfather showed up and really needed his help to fix a fence.
He chose to go help his grandfather than go on this date that he had been wanting for quite some time. I remember her as a mother feeling kind of brokenhearted for him, but on the other hand, so proud of the choice that he had made. And I don't know that he ever got that date again.
There's rigors of combat, there's rigors of training that just wear on you, tear on you, and you get down in the dumps, and it always sucks to be that negative Nelly, that guy that's, oh, this is horrible. Well, thanks for reminding me, man. But he's that guy like, we looked down one time and we were out up at Ripley, and he's like, holy crap, I got 27 mosquitoes on my hand. This is awesome. Well, you found some sort of, wow, let's embrace this.
Yeah. Always.
And he always
that puts it on
embraces
point
the
right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dillion said, Mom, I'm going to turn 18 soon. He says, I've always wanted to go into the Army. He says, will you please sign the papers? I really want your blessing. I signed the paper. And I never felt so much pride, so much patriotism as when our son graduated from basic training.
As expected, Dillion would serve 2 tours overseas, first in Iraq and then Afghanistan. Returning from Iraq seemed pretty good. He didn't talk about it. He was proud that he went, and he was happy to be home, even though he loved the military life. Not long after that, he was called up to go to Afghanistan. It was that tour when things started to change for Dillion.
We expected that our son would come back different. After all, you can't go to a war like that and not be changed. But there was no way to prepare for what would come.
It was easy to see when he got back home. He just wasn't that happy-go-lucky kid anymore.
And he says, you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to have flashbacks and nightmares.
He goes, Crystal, I look at your kids, and all I can see is other kids that I was forced to run over overseas. You don't know what I've done. You don't know. I've killed people.
How would you like to wake up with no legs? Because that's what I've done to other people. That's one of the quotes he said to us is,
we did everything we could. We got the Army involved. We got him to the hospital. Everything we thought we knew how to do, we did.
The horrors of war took its toll with severe PTSD. The flashbacks and nightmares, they were too much. Dillion's world turned upside down. Dillion sent a text.
I said, I'm on a gravel road. I'm gonna do something, but I'm gonna go with a smile on my face. An hour later, the sheriff would come to our door to let us know he had shot himself and ended his life.
6 months before Dillion's death, he wrote a poem. Now, Dillion was never considered a writer, and those closest to him didn't even know that was one of his hidden talents. But the words were true. They were powerful. It wasn't discovered until after his death. These were Dillion's words. Dog-faced are we soldiers, only a cross-section of the meek masses forced by necessity to do the extraordinary. All among us, the weak and the hopeless, yet driven to heights of greatness for the sense of duty. For we all are proud to have suffered this burden together, alone. It's priceless honor you can't get without being selfless. Yet we few pay such a heavy price in hopes that our efforts may keep children, now yet just little boys, from having to decide their innocence, and lust for life may best be sacrificed. If only for the hope that down the road soon, the deserving youth may actually get the opportunity to grow up young, happy, and sparkling with a glint of a million possibilities. If only for one night to once again be a little boy.
The dark place he must have been the night he wrote this. Thinking about growing up, a little boy on the farm, young and innocent. I'd do anything to have that little boy back again.
You okay, Dylan? You okay, Dylan? Right, Dylan. Yeah. Hi. Hi. Shoulder's getting tired. Oh, I guess there's Dylan. Hey, over there? Yeah. Okay.
You know, the way I look at it, the way I look at Dillion, he never came back from Afghanistan. The way I look at it, he was killed in action in Afghanistan. And that's where we lost Dillion, was in war. That was weird, man. That wind started blowing like that.
That was weird.
It was a training mission that went terribly wrong off the coast of Hawaii. Now a family in Staten, Oregon, waiting for word about their son.
Hart was one of 12 Marines aboard 2 helicopters that collided midair near a Marine Corps base in Hawaii. None have yet been located as crews battle harsh weather conditions and their continued search for survivors.
The 3 Marines showed up at my door and they told me that he was missing in action. It was just a whirlwind of about 12 hours that first, like wondering if there was an accident or what's going on or if he's at work, and then them coming to the house, and it's so surreal. You don't think it's gonna happen to you.
I've picked up all these heart-shaped rocks in Hawaii on the beach near Oahu where the crash was.
Today we've actually planned to hike up to the top of the highest point here, the highest peak.
That's so cool. Ty, when he was a little boy, and then all the way up until he completed the Crucible, when he would go hiking with his buddies or do certain things, he would always bring me a rock. So the last rocks he brought me are from the top of the Crucible. So if you would, pick me up a rock from the top, the highest point of the top of this mountain you're going to.
I absolutely will.
Right on. Well, you know, it started out when he was a little boy. I would find them in the washing machine.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I'm on a mission for Ty's Rock. Is there anything specific I'm looking for?
No, you'll know when you see it.
Okay, I'll know when I see it. I love it.
You'll know.
So today is Ty Hart. He's a Marine. Out of the 5 soldiers, this one we lost Most recently, he left behind a wife of 4 months. He was all about adventure and living life to the fullest, going full throttle. Ty seems like a real cool guy. Man, we got this, really? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. That is wild that now it's here with us. And there's our Marine. That's how we could hit this mountain. That's a good view of our peak. That's where we're headed. Might take us all day to get there, but that's where we're going to find Ty's rock. To know Ty was to know what life truly was. Ty never did anything halfway. He had a deep love of family, home, and country. He had a smile that lit up a room and made you feel his happiness. It's funny, Ty never got in a hurry about anything. In fact, the family joked that we lived on Ty time. It was as if he wanted to live in the moment and take it all in. As a child, Ty was a happy little boy. I remember he wrote in his 8th grade essay that his dad was his biggest hero. Ty and his 2 brothers, Alan and Greg, were very close. They did everything together.
Just to kind of an idea there, show you how our home field was. Old grass field. By the end of the year, it was 70 yards of mud.
It was a lot of fun.
Looking back at some of these pictures, you don't realize that when you take that picture, what that memory will mean to you later.
Oh, shoot. Got my sunglasses. It's for you, Ty. It's for you, buddy. At a very young age, Ty had a dream. He wanted to be a United States Marine. In fact, he was so focused and dedicated that by the time he got to boot camp, he was extremely prepared. He said the toughest part was being cut off from his family for 13 weeks. And of course, for us and the family, that 13 weeks was hell. In 2010, Ty met a very special girl. Her name was Hannah Walker.
I just knew the moment I saw him that I was like, this is the guy I'm gonna marry. He's perfect for me. He's what I've always looked for. And he's silly, he's goofy, he's way smarter than me.
I wish my phone could do this justice, and it can't. But that is about as far as a human could see from where I am. And I cannot explain how quiet it is. Still cruising, going up, finding our own path. Yeah, we're going up the mountain.
How's it going?
Going good. Got a little service.
Good. Oh, he's on top of a mountain.
Then we're gonna find Ty's rock. We're gonna find a rock that's the perfect rock up there, okay?
Okay.
Every time I talk to these mothers and fathers, go through the boxes that they send me, their sons, my mind always goes to my sons first, my daughter, and goes to, you know, how important that is and what that must mean to them. It's cool for me during this hike to keep in contact with them a lot. We laid Ty to rest on our family farm in Almsville, Oregon. We buried him in a field, the same green grass that he used to run in as a little boy. the same place he married Hannah. It's just so healing to have him right there. I will close by saying that my love for Ty was so deep that he has taught me love goes on even after death. And it's not just flesh and blood, it's the heart that does that. Man. It is so quiet out here. Gotta be close now. Gotta be real close now. That's how it ends. This is how the hike ends. And we find Ty's Rock. Because obviously, Ty's Rock's not gonna be down here. It's gonna be up here. Oh my God. This is definitely the peak, the top of the mountain. I'm not gonna lie, I've probably never been this scared in my life. I didn't know I was this scared of heights, but I am. But I made it up here for Ty. Heart strong. Gone but not forgotten. This is for you, buddy. This is for your family. The hero that you are. And I'm gonna find a rock. You guys told me to get a rock. And that's gonna be Ty's rock. I'm gonna mail to his mother.
Oh,
There you rock.
Look. That's cool. Thank you so much.
And that's top of the mountain? Sure.
That's cool. That's the best. I even made you cry, Papa.
If you hold it this way, it looks kind of like a heart.
It does look like a heart.
Well, you told me to know it when you saw it.
Yep. Look at that.
Last day. It's gonna be a good one.
I really love this. This is just a beautiful thing for you to do. Seriously, I'm very grateful that you chose him, and he would be very honored. We are, certainly.
Well, we're calling you to say how grateful we are for you.
His goal wasn't to go be a big bad warfighter. His goal was to defend his nation. He had a passion towards America that was really unusual for a kid his age, a passion for the history of our nation, the things that had been done to keep it safe.
Un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo, de contrabando, es el lunar que tú tienes.
Muy bueno.
What?
Muy bueno.
Cielito lindo, vienen bajando, un par de ojitos negros.
It's only appropriate we have to use multiple tongues, right? It's only appropriate we have to have encounters with other cultures. That's what a Navy SEAL does. In and out.
Two things that I really need to do today with Aaron's story. I have a collection of pictures, which I haven't seen yet, from his family. And I have a letter from his mother that I need to read.
Dear Granger, I can't begin to express the gratitude in my heart for your willingness to honor my firstborn and only son, Aaron. A lot of people want to know about the warrior. I understand that. But when I think of Aaron, I just see my son, my boy. Yes, he died a hero on behalf of his nation. But honestly, he became a hero long before he became a member of our armed forces. He was the kid that always looked after the underdog, carried the weight for the downtrodden, and loved the unlovable. Aaron gave his heart to Christ at a very young age, and it stuck. He never turned his back on his faith. It carried him through the hard times. It formed him. And by the time he was 8 years old, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And he would tell anybody that would listen, one day, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. And he followed that calling with every ounce of his heart. He lived a life of sacrifice and felt it was his greatest honor to do so. Aaron Vaughn got it. He knew that America, with all her flaws and failures, all her fractures and wounds, was still the greatest nation on earth. Aaron left behind a beautiful wife and 2 small babies, a son that was not quite 2, and a daughter who was only 3 weeks old when he left for his final deployment. We want this nation to understand that his babies gave them their daddy, that his wife gave them the love of her life, that Aaron's 2 sisters gave them their only brother, and that Aaron gave them everything that he had. It is now our obligation to live a life worthy of the great sacrifices made on our behalf. We pray, we bring honor to his name and to the names of all the other brave, fearless warriors who've breathed their last for us.
Man, it makes it real. These kind of stories will get the best of a man. We've seen so many times this week the theme of freedom isn't free. There is a price. And you have to understand that.
I would encourage people to live lives worthy of the kind of sacrifice that's been made on their behalf. Over 1.3 million American sons and daughters have given their lives for this country. And that means that there's 2.6 million moms and dads, over 2.6 million moms and dads that have put a child in the grave to keep us free. And so that sort of sacrifice demands respect.
We were here blowing out birthday cakes, riding our bikes, jumping in lakes, feeling butterflies on our first dates, and stealing our old man's beer. We were here back home in the home of the brave, but the brave ain't home, they're an ocean away, doing their job and keeping us safe while we were here. They were there fighting back on the front lines, strapping up their boots before the sunrise, keeping their mamas up all night in fear. They were there in the name of a hometown, of a last name that was passed down. Every day, every night, every moment we were here. They were there. They were there. We were here saying the Pledge of Allegiance, repeating those words, not knowing their meaning, taking for granted all our freedoms in the land of the free. We were here bitching about minimum wage, splitting ourselves into red and blue states, but still sat down, hot food on the plate, yeah, while we were here. They were there fighting back on the front lines, strapping up their boots before the sunrise, keeping their mamas up all night in fear. They were there in the name of a hometown, of a last name that was passed down. Every day, every night, every moment we Yeah, they were there. Some came home in a pine wood box with those stars and stripes on top. They were there fighting back on the front lines, strapping up their boots before the sunrise, keeping their mamas up all night in fear. They were there in the name of a hometown, of a last name that was passed down. Every day, every night, every moment we were here. They were there. They were never too old to fight a two-lane road. See how fast that 4x4 can go. Burn the tread right off of them tires. You're never too old to turn the radio up so loud that the speakers blow. Let your neighbors know you're about to throw an all-nighter. Whoa, let's go. Tonight is the night for the rest of our lives. Ain't never too old to die young, never too tall to grow up, never too late to get to living, cause you only get one. Never too good to be bad, ain't never too scared to be tough. Don't count them candles on the cake or the trips around the sun. Ain't never too old to die young. Yeah. Ain't never too old to die young. Never too wise to get a little wild, do something dumb cause it makes her smile. That look on her face that you can't buy, it's money. Whoa, let's go. Tonight is the night, yeah, for the rest of our lives. Ain't never too old to die young, never too tall to grow up, never too late to get to living, cause you only get one. Never too good to be bad, ain't never too scared to be tough. Don't count them candles on the cake or the trips around the sun. Ain't never too old to die young. Yeah. Ain't never too old to die young. Yeah. Yeah, it could be tomorrow or the 100 years that follow. Who knows when you're gonna go? Oh, but right here tonight we got nothing but time that's living like we're never too old. Whoa, whoa. Ain't never too old to die young, never too tall to grow up, you're never too late to get the living, cause you only get one. Never too good to be bad, ain't never too scared to be tough. Don't count them candles on the cake or the trips around the sun. Ain't never too old to die